Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Skygrid with Boomer. And so to bring you up to date from where we were on our last episode, take a look around. We have a shop. We have 8 legs of the octopus built. The only thing we really don't have is the dome that's going to go above us here. We're going to use plots.co.uk. If you're familiar with that website, they do a phenomenal job. Have a lot of different shapes where you can take square blocks and make them into round images of Minecraft. And I use that a lot. So we're going to dome this out. We're going to start stocking the shops. This thing was built to hold 512 different items. Will we have 512 items in stock? I'm not sure. But the number one thing we're going to have is Slimefun. The only problem, we've been experiencing a large, I'm going to say, increase in bugs with Slimefun, and so it's got everybody a little worried at this point. In talking with staff, we know that there's something that they're working on. They can't give me details right now. I understand why, but it's not being ignored. It is being addressed very aggressively. We just wish that the code itself could be fixed properly. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, it's getting worse. Last update caused more issues than it fixed. So we're just kind of crossing our fingers that a solution can be found. But I don't want to dwell on the problems. I want to show you how this is kind of laid out. So I got some inspiration from a friend of mine on the server yesterday. If you saw the first one, when I built these, they were all Priz. It was Priz block walls and Priz, the dark Priz ceiling. And I didn't like it at all. And I got someone to kind of help me, give me some designs, and he inspired me, and I instead kind of took it a little bit further and completely overhauled and went with birch slabs and sea lanterns for the ceilings all the way around, and then added in his tree design. It's not really his tree design, but he had brought it up, and I said, that's not bad. And then on the straight back ones, we went with a little bit different of a tree design. And then added the birch strip logs as accent. And I think the colors blend really nicely together. I think we have a great color palette, including the floor, the ceilings, the walls. I think the shop is done. And so now it's just time to build the dome. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue this birch plank pattern going up as the dome. And then what we're going to do is we are going to intersperse. We're going to come back and intersperse light blue glass into the ceiling, into the domes in certain spots. We're going to create some lookout windows at the very top center. We'll probably put one in. Now, this part of the grid isn't going to get cleared anytime soon until I'm ready to do part 2 of this project, or really technically part 3. 1 is going to finish the dome. 2 is going to be, we're going to start stocking the shops, get those shops back open down here. And then the third one is I'm going to do something I have never done before. I've never even come close to attempting before. The reason I called this shop the octopus, besides having 8 legs, and let me see if I can find a good block to jump up to kind of show you this. I know it's a little hard to see because I haven't cleared it, but you can very clearly see the 8 legs or arms of this shop. Once the dome is in place, and I'm going to play around in creative for a while. I want to get a couple of different options. There's going to be a real octopus, a giant octopus built on top of the shop. That's 8 tentacles will go across in different varying ways on each one of these legs. It is something by far that will more than stretch my skills as a builder. I'm definitely going to be researching this. This is going to take place over a few episodes. It's not something that, like, if you know who Good Time with Scar is, or Iskal85, those guys within a relatively short period of time, a few hours, can build something like that. They'll probably take 6 to 8 hours, maybe planning it out, looking at ideas, testing some stuff in creative. Me, I'm going to need a little bit more than that. So my goal is to create a realistic, angry octopus who is seeing this as housing its eggs and being mad at it and wanting to destroy it. And so we might stress the shop a little bit in certain areas. We might cave in the dome a little bit, given that its suction cups are trying to put pressure onto the shop. We're going to try to make it look as real as possible. This octopus, you know, we want it to be to scale, to look real. So I'm going to do some work. I'll have to do some clearing in here. Just to give you an idea, the shot from corner to corner is 78 by 78. It's a lot of grid clearing. It's probably going to take the better part of a full day, maybe even 2, to clear out all the areas and then to start building it. So over time, I'll do some of it on camera, some of it off. I'll give you guys updates as we go. But for now, we're going to build a dome. And so I am going to start building it using the Plops website. I will clear blocks out on the inside and the outside as I need to go. I'll come back and clean it up. And then I'm going to show you once the dome's in place. And then we'll see what's left for the rest of the day. So I'll be back. I'm going to work on this off camera. You know, guys, I tell you, making domes is not as much fun as it looks. I've got, I'm probably about 7 or 8 rows into this dome, and you can see there's still a lot to go, and I've been having to clear this area out, and you can see the residue of that sitting down here below the base. It's a lot of work, and it takes a little bit of time, but I'll tell you, when this thing is done, I'm really going to enjoy it. So I've got 9 rows left to place, and that Plots website that I told you about does a really nice job of breaking this down layer by layer. The key is just to make sure you don't lose your spot, you know, because it wouldn't take much to throw this off. See, this is where this gets to be fun, because I'm looking, it's 4-3 and then 5-1. So I need to place a 1 directly above this block where it doesn't exist. So you have to kind of, you know, play around it, come back to it, take out this one. Yeah, I saw that creeper down there, and he's having fun. He's moved in without paying rent, and so we're going to send him an eviction notice. He needs to get the heck out of the base. Where'd he go? I know he's back down there somewhere, but we'll get him out. Don't worry too much about him. We're not going to tolerate, you know, freeloaders on the base. So like I said, we're going to continue building, you know, the rest of this dome, and you know, I'm looking forward to seeing what this is going to look like. For now, all I'm worried about is just getting the dome itself in place, and then once the dome is in place, I can go back and clean up, and like I said, you know, add the glass, the skylight, come back, and you know, I may have to put a little bit of light into this dome. We'll kind of see how things fall. And in case you're not familiar with the series, we are on the Fnatic MC server. We're playing Skygrid, excuse me. But we have mob spawning turned off. To have natural mob spawning in a Skygrid map would almost be death to a server, simply because of just the sheer amount of mobs that could spawn, the lighting updates. I mean, it'd be much worse than being in a survival world. And so I'm really glad that we have natural mob spawning off. Not that I'm afraid of, you know, a creeper sneaking up behind me. It actually turns sounds back on. Yeah, I play without sounds. I don't know. I don't have a reason other than it just, I really don't need to hear, you know, the zombie noise every time one spawns. Or Mr. Creeper down there again, living on my base without paying rent. We're going to get the mayor of Boomtown involved and evict these guys here. He's got a little family living down there that, yeah, I see you, buddy. I see you. Be happy I don't have my lollipop with you, or I'd zap your butt. Anyways, we're going to continue this, and we'll be back in a little bit. So, guys, we're back. And it's actually 2 days later. It didn't take all that long to finish the shop. When I did the cutscene about halfway through the dome, just to kind of talk to you real quick, it was about another, maybe an hour later, and the dome was done. And I'm like, okay, great. I don't want to showcase just the dome. I want to show the shop. And so here's what I did with the dome. This is totally completed. I'm not too sure on the prismarine blocks yet. I'm still kind of playing around with it, but we went up there and we kind of randomly sniped a few and put those in place, the birch slabs. We lit it up because it did not look good when it was dark. But it is done. And then I decided, well, you know what? I wanted to show it to you with the majority of the shops filled up. So I think I mentioned a couple of days ago, this whole thing holds 512 chest shops as it's laid out right now. Approximately, let's see, I'm going to say about 390 are full right now, give or take a couple. Count might be off slightly. I'm still filling up. I'm not even done yet. I got to the redstone section, got 3 or 4 items in there and says, you know what, let's go ahead and stop and get this episode done so I can get out for you guys and get going on the next one. On the next episode, we're going to have a couple of farm designs that we've been playing with. I thought I'd reinvented Minecraft for the coral farm and realized that I didn't read the wiki right. So we backtracked on that one, but we have added coral bubble and coral fans and all those other little things. Not the blocks yet. We'll come on that later. But so anyways, I want to really thank Lancer, a good friend of mine here on the server, who I'd asked to come by, take a look at the shop. And I said, you know what? Because at the time it was all prismarine walls and dark prismarine ceilings. And I hadn't finished my color scheme. I hadn't figured out what I wanted quite yet. And I'm like, dude, what do you think? And he gave me a couple ideas which inspired me to go this route. And that's where we brought in, instead of the dark priz, we went with the birch planks with sea lanterns. And then on the horizontal shops like this, we brought in a simple bush, right? That's all it is. Just a little simple bush. And then on the vertical, or the diagonal ones, I should say, not the vertical. These are like a little bit better. I think these even look more open than the other ones do. Every other one was a strip birch up and down at the top as support beams, nice coloring. And then we went with the 2-high plant. And I really love this one. I think this is one of, by far, this is by far, I believe, my best shop design that I've ever done so far. And I had one a few maps ago. It was a space station that I had started. And when we got word that the map was going to reset, I stopped it and I didn't complete it. And I really regret that I didn't do that, because that had the potential to rival this for sure. But having said that, now, you know, I look around, I'm really proud of the shop. I love this floor design. In the survival world, you've seen I've got a floor that inspired this, but this is a little bit different. I pulled a couple, like this section right here, I pulled from the survival, but I redid this, how this all falls into place a little bit. I kept a couple of these in place, but I've also changed it up. So the shop is done, and I'm going to continue to stock it. I'm hoping, let's see, tonight is Saturday night. My goal, given what I know I have to do tomorrow, would be that at the end of the night, I'm going to have probably 95% of what I'm going to carry in the shop done. A couple things I don't have yet would be wood, of all the basic things. Wood, cobble, and stone, right? The 3 most basic materials that every server, every warp, every shop carries. Now, do I have the materials? Absolutely. I have 1 million stone sitting down at the sulfate farm. So that's not a problem. I could bring it up. I just haven't. The problem is there's so much cobble and stone on the server. I'm willing to bet if I were to go to all the farms and all the bases and all the warps, there's probably 50 million cobble lying on a server right now. There are warps selling it for a penny. Clearly, I'm not going to lose money wasting my time selling it for a penny. Spawn sells cobble for around, I think it's $2, and stone is like $4 or $5. And so I have that much because I'm platforming 1 million blocks, of which about 800,000 are already in place. I've gotten close to 80% of it done. As far as so cobble is the first layer. I'm sorry, stone's the first layer. As far as cobble, that's mainly used for are dust farms for Slimefun. So the odds that I'm going to stock cobble and stone in the shop is about 0. As far as wood, I'm going to be building those farms outside of the center area. Those will be, I got to do some more grid clearing for them because they're going to be pretty massive. The tree farms, when cut down, 100% cut down at each type of wood will fill anywhere from 3 to 5 shulkers worth, every chip through there. And so those have a ways to go. A lot more grid clearing needs to happen yet before those go in. And there's enough wood on the server to where I don't feel that I need to help supply the server with wood. Because we also have the oak, there's an insane amount of oak. It's everything else that we need. So anyways, this is not at my base. And the reason I'd moved this is a number of people were complaining that they felt there was too much lag at my base because of the amount of stuff I have running at once. It didn't hurt the server TPS. It was all frames per second that was suffering. So I said, okay, I moved this shop about 250 blocks away from my base. So there is nothing outside of here. So if you come to this shop and your FPS is down, you are running a computer from 1990, okay? Just to see right now, I've got too much running in the background here too. I've got way too much going on, so mine's not going to reflect right. Normally right now I've been running anywhere from 60 to 90, and like I said, I am not by any means on a powerful laptop. But with everything I have running in the background right now, I probably should have shut it down before I started this recording. So anyways, this is the shop. It's done. I do want to show you guys one other thing in this video. I was a little hesitant to bring this out, but we're going to go ahead and bring it up. One of the things I wanted to do on a server was stock flowers and all the plants that are hard to get in the grid. And we were trying to get as many of them that were renewable as possible, and we wanted to find a flower forest biome, and we did. And so with that, we met ourselves a flower farm. And this type of farm you're very familiar with if you've watched any of the Hermitcraft series, or pretty much anybody on YouTube have made their own flower farm versions. Mine are 12 by 12 sections. The reason I was hesitant in doing this even is because, as you know, they lag servers. They lag them bad. It's a bad thing. And so when we do turn this on, while we do have 2 sides, we do not run both at the same time. I was able to do it briefly, and then the TPS dropped below 15, and so I shut it off. Right now, we only run one side at a time. And the section that we found, as soon as we stumbled upon it, nothing was here. We simply landed on a block. We laid down this nice little floor pattern, and this is from Shar and I. Shar, one of the other helpers on here. She came out, got probably 90% of this floor pattern done herself, and then we started laying out grass over the pattern directly, because we had to find out, if you don't know, in 114 now, in these biomes, every time bone meal hits the grass, when a flower spawns, it will always be the same flower. So that spot will always spawn alliums. I forgot what these are. Okay, so those are, I'm sorry, that's the allium. I'm sorry. Yeah, so is that one. Okay, so red tulips, orange tulips, pink tulips, white tulips, the corn block, or the cornflower flowers. So every time this farm fires up, that exact same farm will spawn that same flower. We were attempting to find every single one of them that could regenerate within a forest, a flower forest. And we had mapped every single block pretty much. Half of this on the one behind me were all what you see there, the dandelions and the little red ones. There are some other ones that do spawn back in there, but the majority of the things that we wanted were over here. The only thing we couldn't find, well, and you know, blue orchids, which are in swamp biome, so we'll have to go out and find a swamp biome, set one of those up. And then the lily of the valley was the only one. We probably covered 350 square blocks in this little area, and we couldn't find a lily of the valley. And so we're going to have to expand on this and try to find some. And then we'll see, we might move one of these farms if we do find it, if it encompasses everything else. So I'm going to do something here. I'm going to turn the side scoreboard on because I'm going to show you a couple of things. You can see currently the server's TPS is running perfect. It's at 20. My ping kind of sucks a little bit. Like I said, I have a lot of things running. I've got the recording software going. I've got Discord going. I'm on Minecraft. I've got a web page open. And both my kids are on the server at the same time. My wife's streaming. And so we have an insane amount of bandwidth being chewed up. So my ping kind of sucks right now. We're going to turn, and this is a really basic design I came up with. I'm not going to say it's the best or cleanest or most efficient. Simply, all we're going to do is when this piston retracts, the observer detects a block update, sends a signal back, fires the first row of pistons, comes up. There's a 4-tick delay back here. The second row pushes the grass blocks back. Underneath here, I brought a redstone signal down to bring back, and what it will do is it'll fire the bone meal dispensers, and then I believe it's 2 ticks later, it refires a piston, which causes a block update. So let's kind of watch the TPS and see what happens when we turn this farm on. So let's get up here. So the initial moments so far is pretty good. We're holding in the 19s. Now, I've promised that if this thing dips below 16, I'll shut it off at any time, so I don't want to cause lag on the server. Both one of them seems to be holding so far. So what's happening is you can clearly see there's nothing underneath this thing to suck up all these flowers. So how are they getting sucked up? Every time you see those little purple magical spots in the air, we actually have a teleporting hopper underneath this that is picking up all the loose items. And what it does is we've tied that into this chest over here, tied it in the network, and then automatically it sorts out those 10 flowers. So, you know, we're getting the dandelions, the poppies, the azure bluettes are in here, the alliums, the cornflowers, the 4 tulips. And then all the seeds are being randomly split between these 4 chests and turned back into composters into bone meal, which comes back here, back out in the farms. So while it's not completely self-sustaining, it does reduce the amount of bone meal we have to bring to the farm by, I don't know, maybe 10 or 15%. So you can see really good with one is we're going to quickly, just real quickly, we're going to turn on the other one. Now watch the TPS. Okay, now that we have 2 of these going, I'm willing to bet the TPS is going to start to drop here. Yeah, we're seeing some 18s, some 19. Earlier, it did drop below 14. We had a lot more people on the server. There were probably 40, 45 on the server at the time. So not as much might have been running. So later at night, when there aren't too many people on, I could run both. Like I said, the only downside is on this side of the farm, there's almost no tulips. So this side of the farm, for the most part, other than the cornflowers, which it does have 5 or 6 cornflower spots, doesn't get me a whole lot. So we're going to go ahead and just shut this side off. And actually, you know what? Since I'm almost out of bone meal, we'll just kill both. But in that short period of time, let's kind of come over here and see what this did. Now, when you see these numbers, just know there's another stack in here. It says I have 134, right? Plus this 64. So in a short period of time, I got me 200 dandelion, almost 400 poppies got pulled in here, right? I got 184 oxeye daisy. I got 220 alliums. I got 140 core. That was in a short little time, that couple minutes that we ran this farm. I then went through a dub of bone meal, double chest of bone meal. It took, give or take, 12 minutes. And almost every one of those flowers, I got 20 stacks or more. So it is insanely productive. But again, you know, we want to be mindful of everybody else on the server, and so we've kind of reduced the server lag by only running this when there's a minimal number of people on as much as possible. And then again, we try to run just one side. So We're going to go ahead and wrap up today here. I want to go ahead and get this episode out because I do have more things that I'm working on. I'd like to get some more stuff done, get this up to you. I've been a little just caught up in the building and the rebuilding and the rebuilding and the rebuilding of Slimefun stuff, and I really want to kind of get away from that a little bit. I'll do that more of that on the survival series, and I'll probably do some of the detailed tutorials also on Skygrid, simply because I have everything here. And as much as I want to do it on survival, I'm going to do some of the things here simply because I want to do the tutorials as I promised. Having said that, I'm going to continue to expand that survival base, continue to grid clear in grid, and keep both worlds developing and becoming better or more beautiful. And so I thank you guys for watching. If you're new to the channel, if you would, please consider subscribing. It tells me that you appreciate what's going on, and hopefully I've entertained you for at least a minute out of this 20-some-odd-minute video. And I do appreciate everybody for the feedback I've been getting and been learning a lot. And I look forward to our next episode. In the meantime, remember, every time you're on grid, you got to go Boomer or you got to go home. We'll see you later.